There were two empires where the sun never set, but only one survived its peak. History does not repeat itself, but it tests us again and again. At its peak, one empire ruled nearly a quarter of the world's population. Its ships crossed every ocean. Its flags flew on every continent. People said, the sun never sets on the British Empire. But how did one small island come to dominate the globe? And more importantly, why did it collapse? This is not just a story about Britain. It is a story about power, technology, choices, and the hidden cost of empire. This is Learn from History. The British Empire did not appear overnight. It was built slowly, aggressively, and often accidentally. In the 16th century, England was a minor European power. Spain and Portugal dominated global trade. France controlled much of continental Europe. Britain had three major disadvantages: a small population, limited natural resources, constant threats from stronger neighbors. But it also had three hidden advantages. First, geography. An island nation meant strong naval focus, defense at home, projection of power abroad. Second, institutions. Parliament limited absolute monarchy. Property rights were relatively secure. Merchants trusted the system. Capital accumulated. Third, timing. Britain entered global expansion just as gunpowder warfare matured. Navigation improved. Global trade exploded. The empire expanded in stages. Stage 1, trade, the East India Company. Private profit backed by state power. Stage 2, control. Trade posts became forts. Forts became colonies. Stage 3, domination. India, Africa, the Caribbean, Canada, Australia. By 1914, Britain controlled 25% of global land and 24% of the world's population. The sun never set, because somewhere it was always day in British territory. But empires do not rise by accident. They rise because systems reward certain behaviors. Let's pause for a moment to answer our opening question. Why did the Spanish gold fail while British coal created a perpetual feedback loop? From an AI logic perspective, Spain made a fatal systemic error. They confused wealth with productivity. The gold and silver Spain brought from the Americas was essentially a one-time withdrawal. Because Spain lacked an industrial base, that wealth immediately flowed to England, France, and the Netherlands to buy goods. Spain became a courier of wealth, not a creator of it. In contrast, Britain's coal sparked an industrial feedback loop. Coal-powered machines. Machines increased production efficiency. Efficiency generated trade profits. And those profits were reinvested back into coal mining and R&D. This was a closed-loop system. From an AI perspective, the British Empire was the result of four reinforcing loops. Loop 1. Naval power gives trade. Trade gives wealth. Wealth gives more naval power. Britain invested heavily in its navy. That navy protected trade routes. Trade generated massive wealth. Wealth funded an even larger navy. This loop fed itself. Loop 2. Industrialization gives military superiority. Britain was the first industrial nation. Factories produced weapons, ships, railways. Colonies were no longer equals. They were systems to be optimized. Raw materials in, finished goods out. Efficiency beat tradition. Loop 3. Divide and rule. The empire rarely ruled by force alone. It ruled by structure. Local elites were empowered. Ethnic and religious divisions were exploited. Resistance was fragmented. The empire didn't need to be loved. It only needed to be useful. Loop 4. Moral justification. Power needs a story. Britain told itself it was bringing civilization. It was spreading law. It was ending slavery. These stories were not entirely false, but they were incomplete. They justified expansion. They silenced doubt. Spain's system was linear. Once the gold was gone, it was over. Britain's system was exponential. It kept evolving. This is why Spain's sunset came after just 1 century, while Britain's lasted for 300 years. From an AI lens, the British Empire expanded because the system rewarded expansion. No immediate cost exceeded the benefits. Feedback loops reinforced dominance. But systems that grow too efficiently eventually break. Empires fall not from one mistake, but from decisions made at peak power. Key decision: how Britain treated its colonies. Britain faced a choice in the 19th century. Option 1, gradual integration, political representation, shared power. Option 2, extraction, control, delay reform. Britain chose the second. India was governed, not represented. Africa was divided, not developed. Ireland was controlled, not reconciled. Short-term stability, long-term resentment. Another critical choice: World War I. Britain won the war, but victory was expensive. Massive debt, lost manpower, shaken legitimacy. The empire survived, but it was weakened. What if Britain chose reform earlier? Imagine a different decision. In 1850, colonies gained seats in Parliament. Economic development prioritized, local autonomy respected. The empire becomes a federation, not a hierarchy. In this timeline, independence movements are delayed or softened. Violent revolutions are reduced. Britain transitions from ruler to coordinator. From an AI perspective, this path reduces volatility, but also limits speed. The empire still shrinks, but it evolves. Instead of collapse, transformation. History chose a harder path. Let's evaluate the empire honestly. Global trade networks. Legal systems still used today. Infrastructure. Railways, ports, administration. Suppression of piracy, and some slave trades. These were real, and they mattered. Economic exploitation, cultural destruction, artificial borders. Famines worsened by policy. Millions paid the price. The empire created order, but often at the cost of dignity. No single villain, no pure hero. From an AI evaluation standpoint, the British Empire maximized efficiency, but failed empathy. And systems without empathy do not endure. This story is not about the past. It is about us. Lesson 1. Power without representation is unstable. Control can last decades, but legitimacy lasts longer. Lesson 2. Technology amplifies intent. Industrial power magnified British decisions. AI will magnify ours. Efficiency is not wisdom. Lesson 3. Moral narratives matter. Every system tells itself a story. Be careful which stories you believe. Lesson 4. Decline is not failure. Britain lost its empire, but not its influence. Adaptation beats dominance. The sun finally set on the British Empire, but its shadow still shapes our world. History does not repeat itself, but it is always watching. The modern lesson is clear. Simply owning resources is for beginners. A true empire one where the sun never sets is a system that iterates and creates continuous value. Today, those resources are no longer coal or gold. They are data and computing power. This is Learn from History. If you enjoyed this analysis, Share your thoughts below, because the best way to understand tomorrow is to rethink yesterday. See you in the next video.